Welcome back, everybody. We are doing our first sole video about reading recap. So today we are covering the March books that I read. And before I just kind of plopped them into a vlog here and there. And so if you like this, if you're a reader, if you like seeing kind of just one dedicated video to covering the books that I read, let me know, give a like, give a comment. Otherwise, I can just throw them into the vlogs as well. If I've only read like 2 books or something, and I don't have much to say about them, I'll probably just pop them into a vlog. But otherwise, I'm gonna start with the March reading wrap up for you guys. I read technically 6 books. One was manga, so it's kind of shorter and obviously a different format. So let's start first with the physical books that I read. So at the beginning of the month, I read Taste by Stanley Tucci, which you might remember I've talked about his other more recent book that I read, which was, I think it was called A Day in My, or a year in my life through food or something. So that was more of a single year like diary perspective. This is his memoir, and this is talking about just his life, how he came to be so interested in food and kind of making it such a center point of his life, and just growing up in New York, his life with his late wife, meeting his current wife Felicity, his battle with cancer, all of those things. It was just nice to kind of see his life in words. So I gave that 4 stars. I gave his other one, I think, slightly higher, just because that was a little bit more catered to what I like, and it was just like really quick and easy to get through. But overall, I just love Stanley Tucci, so he really can't do much wrong in my eyes. So that was great. And then kind of continuing on the cook, restaurant, that sort of world, I read Kitchen Confidential by Anthony Bourdain. This is a different version than the first book that he came out with. This is annotated by him after years later, after he actually wrote the original. So it's got some like notes that he wrote in it, like this. So it is a little bit different, but this was pretty good. Murphy and I watch his show Parts Unknown, and so having watched that already, it's just super easy to like read it in his voice. It's very him, and it's essentially about the truths of life in the culinary world when he was coming up in, I think it's the 70s, 80s, when he first got his degree, and why, again, he came to have such a fondness for food. And it's really interesting for me, especially because in high school and college, I worked in the restaurant industry. I wasn't a cook by any means, but I worked in the front of house, so I kind of know some of the things he's talking about. But the extremes at which he experienced it, especially in a different time, was really interesting to read. But it was also quite dense, a dense read for me. And so I only gave this one 3.5 stars, but still good. And if you like Anthony Bourdain or you have watched his shows in the past, it was good. And this has been on my want to read list for quite a while. So I'm glad that I finally got to pick that up. Okay, the next books are all ones that I read on my Kindle. So I'll just pop a picture over here of each one. So I read Drops of God, the second volume, which I talked about the first one before, it's the basis of the Apple TV show Drops of God, which is really fantastic. If you haven't seen it, I would definitely recommend it. And yeah, it was good. I mean, this series is like 20 books, so it's kind of slow, I guess. It's good. I honestly am not sure if I will continue. I just don't really know if manga is for me, I guess. I don't know if maybe I need to try a different book that's a little more fast-paced and has a better plot. I don't know, but I'm not sure if I will continue. It is like, it's free on Kindle, so I can always pick it up if I want to, but I think I'm going to take a pause for right now. The next book I read is Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. He also wrote a few other books, and one that I have read is The House on the Cerulean Sea, which was fantastic. And I just needed a standalone book in the midst of some series to just kind of read and like get out of the like high fantasy world for a minute. And this book was so good. It's about a lawyer whose name is Wallace, and he finds himself in an unexpected afterlife, which happens to be a tea shop owned by or ran by a guy named Hugo. And it's kind of like the in-between of life and death, essentially, and he's there kind of coming to grips with his past and learning how to embrace his life, and he's really kind of becoming a new person. And I just really loved the characters in this book. It was very heartwarming. TJ Klune's books generally have a lot of undertones of like bigger things in the world or bigger concepts that I really like, and his writing is also really good. It's a little bit slower of a book, his books generally are, but the plot is good, the world is good, and it's very, very easy to fall in love with his characters and the development of them in his book. So this one I gave a 4.5 out of 5 stars. If you've never read his books and you like kind of like a contemporary fiction, I would definitely try him out. Maybe start with House on the Cerulean Sea. That's, I think, one of his best-selling. But great. The next book that I read, which was my favorite, is Quicksilver by Callie, Hart. This is newer. I believe it came out in the fall, maybe winter of 2024. And if you have Kindle Unlimited, it is on there. And this is a fantasy romance, very in my category of favorite books because they're usually pretty fast-paced, got some spice in there, good characters, all of that. And this delivered. So it's about this girl, Saris, and she is essentially a thief in her land. And she is then drawn into a fae kingdom where she has to ally with a warrior fae named Kingfisher. And from there, basically, she's trying to save her brother and he's trying to save his people. And it goes through the story of how they have to work together through that, uncovering a lot of different secrets. There's vampires, there's fae, there's a lot of magic. It just was really good. One of those books you can just knock out in like 1 to 3 days, depending how much time you have. And there is a second book coming out in November of this year, I believe. But as soon as I was done reading it, I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe I have to wait until November for this book now. So if you like fantasy, fae worlds, if you like ACOTAR, I definitely think that you will like Quicksilver. I would say that the depth of the world building is not like ACOTAR, but as far as the romance and like the magic system and the secrets and stuff, it's up there. So if you've read ACOTAR and you liked it, I would say try this one if you're looking for a new read. And I think a lot of people are talking about it right now on the internet anyways, so you may have heard of it, but 10 out of 10. My favorite. I gave that one 5 out of 5 stars for this month. Okay, the last book that I read this month is Gild by Raven Kennedy. It's part of the Plated Prisoner series. I'm not sure if it's a trilogy or if it has more books or not. I think that this book is in like the dark fantasy category, but it's essentially, which I just learned actually, that it's a retelling of the King Midas myth, which I'll have to like do some research on. Maybe that will give me a little more clarity, I guess. But it's about this girl named Auren, and she is a gold-touched prisoner to King Midas. It's basically kind of going through her discovering the truths of what their relationship was, or what she believed it to be. And I just didn't really like this book. I think essentially her, Auren, the main character, and all the other women in the book are essentially royal prostitutes. And the majority of this first book is just, it was really hard to get through because it was primarily content surrounding the men using the women for their bodies. And it was just a little uncomfortable and also not interesting. The fact that that's what 80 to 90% of the book was. It didn't really set up as much as I thought it would for the plot. So I'm not sure if I will continue reading the second book. If anyone's read this series, let me know if it gets better and more interesting in the second book, because the first book didn't do it for me, and I just don't know if I want to waste my energy reading it if it's going to be more of the same as what the first book was, because it just wasn't doing anything for me. So I gave that one 2.5 stars. I did think about DNFing it, but I was like, no, maybe if I push through, like, surely it will get past this. This isn't like all that this book is about. And, it's sort of setting something up, but like, I didn't think that 80 to 90% of the book needed to be what it was, I guess. So that was kind of a bummer of a book to end on, as far as finishing off the month of March. But I'm looking forward to some new books in May. I don't know what I'm going to read next to start with, to be honest. So let me know if you have any recommendations. I'd love to hear them, whether in the biography. I'm trying to do at least one of those a month, but otherwise kind of like fantasy, contemporary fiction, and I'm open to other genres as well. If you have something really good to sell me on, let me know. But other than that, that concludes my March reading wrap. And yeah, looking forward to the next month. So drop a comment below. Let me know your thoughts, and I will see you in a new vlog very soon. Bye!